In the previous segments of Siege, the documovie, we examined how the cultural Marxists came to America around 1933 and began to carry out their self-described long march through the institutions. Their stated goal was to bring about a new way of revolution in America by attacking the existing morality of the culture. In addition, the entire legal system of the United States of America must be challenged and portrayed as a system that was implemented by white, racist, European men based on social constructs that were crafted in order to exploit and dominate non-whites. Enter Sharia, what the Marxists see as a great tool to destroy America's constitutional republic, and one reason the Reds have agreed to the red-green axis of Marxism and Islam.
I believe that today the radical left, of course, they have signed up along with Islam.
Yes.
And the reason for that is because even though they have two different visions, the radical left based on humanism and their own view, Islam, of course, based on global supremacy, as all of us know, what they have found is that we are allies for now because we are attacking America's two things that we hate very much. Number one, our Christian roots, and number two, capitalism.
In this, part 5 of Siege, we will see that America's immigration crisis has been used to import voters that will elect Islamic radicals such as Ilhan of Minnesota and Rashida Tlaib of Michigan. These women are just the beginning of numerous candidates that will be elected to the U.S. House and eventually the U.S. Senate unless Americans wake up and respond with prudence. Islamic revolutionaries, backed by Marxist revolutionaries, are already using Sharia as a weapon to destroy America's constitutional republic and the rule of law that guarantees our liberties and freedoms and protects us from the tyranny they desire. Iranian-born American Emil Amini warns, quote, "As government policies lean toward Islamic ideals, the Bill of Rights will be seen as archaic and out of touch with contemporary values and the new direction of the country. It will be just a piece of parchment in a museum, lacking anyone who would be so bold and revolutionary as to fight a religion, even a religion of hate," end quote. The Marxist and the globalist are using, as I said, illegal immigration to import new voters that will support their radical anti-American candidates. They are also using a nonstop flood of immigrants to swell the welfare rolls, which will aid in collapsing America's economy and increase the acceptance of a socialist state. In addition, the immigration crisis and lack of border security has allowed for an Islamic invasion of America. This has allowed America's enemies to prepare the battlefield right here within our borders. In this segment of Siege, we will hear from a former CIA operations officer that will brief us on how known terror cells have been embedded within America. These terror cells would certainly be used, if necessary, to facilitate the revolution desired by Marxists. They can also be used by our enemies to blackmail our nation to capitulate to the demands of the red-green axis. We will also examine the civil war that is currently being waged in America and the role the deep state is playing in this civil war. Diana West will help us understand the red thread that is running throughout the deep state. We will also receive a briefing from Rich Higgins, a former national security staffer that served inside the White House of President Donald Trump. With the help of Kevin Freeman, we will examine how Russia and China have declared an economic war on America. Trevor Loudon will explain how universal health care can be used to intimidate and control Americans and keep them from being critical of their government and its policies. Throughout this documovie, I have explained that America is under siege at the power centers of media, education, and government. But did you know that the Marxists have penetrated religion and have long planned to use religion as a cover? We will expose how well-known evangelicals are promoting what I call Marxianity. These religious useful idiots and dupes are setting up conservatives and Christians for persecution, be it knowingly or unknowingly. Either way, they are furthering the agenda of the communist, just as FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover warned in an article in Christianity Today on October 4th, 1960. Listen to the warnings by the former FBI director and determine if it does not sound just like what we're facing today. Quote, "Look, the communists are saying we are tolerant of religion. We do not want to attack your faith. Rather, let's work together on issues in which we are both interested: peace, civil liberties, economic justice. We communists are believers in love, justice, and the brotherhood of man. Let's not fight, but work together." Here is the deadly come-along of communism, directed today at the Christian pulpit. This enables the party to move close to unsuspecting ministers and laymen who see only the exterior verbiage and not the concealed danger. How does the party work here? In many ways, encouraging churchmen to endorse, support, and even participate in communist front groups, end quote. Indeed, there are many so-called evangelical groups that if they're not communist front groups, well, they might as well be. America is under siege from a 21st century civil war, the deep state, Sharia, immigration chaos, religious useful idiots and dupes, and a red-green axis seeking to eliminate freedom of speech and the Second Amendment. Part 5 of Siege, the documovie, begins right now.
This is a Brannon, Howse, and WVW Broadcast Network documovie, Siege, the clear and present dangers pushing America to the brink of a Marxist Islamic revolution, civil war, World War III, and globalism. And now, here is your host, Brannon Howse.
This is the final segment of Siege, the documovie, and it's being filmed in November of 2019. At this time, America is involved in a 21st century civil war, whether you know it or not. Many in our military have sacrificed their lives in horrific ways to oppose the communists, Marxists, socialists, Nazis, Islamists. Yet, many within America will not make even non-life-threatening sacrifices to confront the socialists when given the chance. Countless young men, many of them teenagers or in their early 20s, had their whole lives before them. They looked forward to dating, getting married, and having children and grandchildren. Yet, they fought to the death the ideologies that are facing America yet today. Children who would have been theirs were never born. Grandchildren who would have been theirs were never conceived because those men never came home from the battlefield. And some among us who should stand for the same convictions today do nothing. When I watch films of young soldiers storming the beaches of Normandy, I think that's a suicide mission. Yet, the landing craft doors open and out they go, many of them knowing they're about to die. You don't see them cowering in the corner or trying to appease the enemy. They're not looking for dialogue and common ground with the foe. Rather, they die, so the ideologies of America's enemies will not capture the hearts, minds, and freedoms of our nation. I have listened as my friend and Vietnam veteran, Udell Myers, told of the horrors of communism in Vietnam. He has told me the stories of men that would be fighting beside a buddy only to be splattered with their friend's brains the next. War is horrible, and I don't know where such immense courage comes from. How do soldiers muster the courage to confront an enemy and die so horrifically? How do survivors continue to fight when day in and day out they're surrounded by the visions and stench of death? If the men of so many generations have been willing to lay down their life, can we not be willing to lay down our reputations?
People today oftentimes back down because they are ashamed. They don't witness at work and so forth, because they think that if I do, my coworker is going to think that I'm this way out radical. I say to them, who cares whether or not you are thought of wrongly? Niemöller was criticized for his opposition to Hitler, and somebody said, how do you think this makes us look on earth? And he said, the question is, how do we look in heaven? And so what I'm simply saying in answer to your question actually is, if we can't take a bit of shame for the sake of the gospel, how are we going to endure when the real hard persecution comes? I don't think we're going to do very well.
Unless you desire to live in a country where the middle class has been eliminated and where we are all under the tyrannical thumb of a small group of cultural elitists who can control every aspect of your life, then you had better speak up. Nothing is more powerful than truth. Nothing scares the elitists more than their worldview and agenda being exposed for what it really seeks to accomplish.
And it's about time we wake up to this very real and present danger if we're going to help America win this new Cold War.
We need to do something with the information that we hear. It's not just up to you to inform people. It's not just up to Brannon or Rush Limbaugh.
Let me put it this way. It's time to realize our civilization is at risk thanks to Islamization and red-green axis. So, your choices are sit back, relax, watch it all happen, or stand up, get educated, get involved, and act as we, the people of America, and take back our freedom simply by practicing your God-given rights and understanding our Constitution. It is as simple as that.
I hope that this documovie has revealed what it is that the Marxists, Islamists, and globalists hope to accomplish. I further hope that this documovie has motivated you to do whatever you can to distribute the vital information that has been presented so that we can awaken more Americans to the clear and present dangers facing America. Maybe then we can at least slow down the siege that is now taking place upon our faith, our families, and our freedoms. Thank you for watching Siege, the documovie.